Welcome to the Adjunct CEO Podcast with your host, the Adjunct CEO, Dean Akers. Tips, ideas, and interviews with top leaders to help you and your business when results matter.
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody back. This is our 19th show. We're approaching 20 shows. I mean, it seems like yesterday I started. We've had thousands and thousands of downloads, 30 plus countries now. I think 33, 34 I looked at this week that have downloaded and are listening. I'm getting feedback from people on my help at adjunctceo.com. That's help at adjunctceo.com. I'm getting a lot of feedback from listeners out there with questions and thoughts and looking for some advice. I'm really excited. You know, like I shared when I started Adjunct CEO, it was going to be more about interviewing other CEOs, and I still intend to look at that as part of our process. But on a daily basis, working with clients and running into people, I still get so much material that I want to share because I'm sharing it around to different industries and different speaking engagements. And the Adjunct CEO is a platform that allows you to get all this for free and to take it in and kind of disseminate it how you feel best works for you personally and or your company. Today's show, I'm going to talk about business vertigo. Uh, Business vertigo, and vertigo's disorientation. You've seen it like when you ride on a merry-go-round, or they spin you around in circles and take a blindfold off, and how you stumble around and you're disoriented and your inner ear is playing games on you and you actually can fall over. Well, there's a play in this that actually deals with businesses too. The example I use of business vertigo is more of a personal example, not for me, but of a young man that passed away years ago, which was John Kennedy Jr. Some of my listeners out there know that I'm a pilot. I have my pilot's license and have been had my pilot's license since the 90s. And when you go and you fly and they train you, you learn to, if you fly in instrument flight rules, to not trust your instincts or how you feel, but to fly by those instruments. And so John Kennedy, on a crystal clear night where he could be flying visual flight rules, was flying over Long Island Sound, and he clearly got disoriented and he did not trust his instruments. And I, by the way, I had somebody go, well, he wasn't instrument qualified. Every pilot takes under the hood training so that if they got in a circumstance, they at least can look at their altimeter and their artificial horizon so they can fly the plane straight and level and not decrease or increase altitude. So everybody's taught that. For some reason, nobody will ever quite know. John Kennedy Jr. got disoriented and flew his airplane straight into Long Island Sound and killing himself and his wife and their friend. In the business world, we'll see that vertigo and people crash their businesses or see damages to their businesses. And what do they always blame? They blame the outside influences, competition, marketplace, economy, all the stuff you've heard me talk about in previous episodes. And then when I visit with business folks, they all go, they really believe, and I think you got to have a certain amount of this arrogance, but they believe they all have great instincts. And they really kind of get caught up in the fact that they go, you know, I got great instincts, Dean. I mean, that's why I'm successful. And I go, I got it. I believe you're a risk taker, which is you have to be. You've got to have vision, which you got to have. But there's still no excuse not to fly by the facts. And I'm often reminded of the famous quote: everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts." So in business, the mega successful business people I know, uh, which they all have great instincts too, but they always have facts. When I talk to them, they can tell me exactly what's going on in their business. They have kind of that needles up deal with like flying, and they know all the different elements. Uh, and so when I'm working with clients, I generally try to get the facts, and we'll build out a model. And if anybody wants me to give them some input on how to build out a model, I'd be happy to help them with it because it's a big deal to get a model built out. Once you build out a model with assumptions, it allows you to input facts that you know or facts that you could anticipate and see what the impacts would be. So, what do those measurements look like? What do those measurements look like? So many people, in fact, one of the most favorite things people always say to me is, we need more marketing. And I have found without any question that's the least of most people's challenge is more marketing. Now, that being said, some of my previous companies, I mean, we spent a lot of money on marketing, millions and millions, but we did that with the absolute knowledge of what each dollar translated into a conversion, or more importantly, with marketing, a lead. Because a lead is all your marketing can do. It doesn't create the sale. The sale's either when somebody, especially if you're doing business to business, your marketing gets somebody to call you and you follow up on it, or you do marketing to create brand awareness. I had a customer recently, they're talking about their marketing, how they need to increase their marketing, and they allowed me to randomly listen to calls of inbound uh, clients or people calling them for services. So I took that and I took all the calls and I randomly selected four of them. And I randomly selected those four, and then I rated them. I rated them for customer engagement. I rated them for lack of a better word, asking for the order, inviting them in. I rated them for the ability to be able to follow up. And in all four cases, randomly selected, they were John Kennedy incidents crashing into the bay. And again, the company's saying that they need more marketing or people just don't buy or blah, 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 blah. In this case, these four calls, there was no engagement. The particular caller wasn't asked their name or a number to reach them or an email to reach them in case they got disconnected. When the caller was asking about the product, it was almost like pulling teeth to get the information, and it was just vague. And in every case, the caller hung up and without us achieving any closure. And the caller said, "Oh, I'll get back with you." Now, if you really believe that caller is going to get back with us or with us, this person, based on these calls, you probably believe in the tooth fairy because that ain't going to happen. And consequently, this particular company will sit there and go, "Man, the business is tough out there and we need more marketing dollars. And if we had more marketing dollars, we'd do better." And my conclusion is, if you had more marketing dollars, you just have a bigger train wreck, and that's all that would matter. You might scarf in one or two low hanging fruit type things, people that just are desperate to get in to see you. But based on those four random calls, you have a train wreck going on. Now, that being said, you could say, well, are those people bad people? And the answer was clearly no. Uh, when you take the voice inflection, you take their cheeriness or whatever, they were trying to do the best they could. My bet is they were never trained. And my bet is there's not a process for them to do so that they are constantly training and coaching themselves or their team leaders coaching them on how to do better. Consequently, it's the economy, it's competition, it's lack of marketing. And at the end of the day, everybody's blaming those external things, and these random four calls clearly indicated that the biggest challenge was inside their own four walls. Inside their own four walls. So when you look at successful companies, what you'll see is they'll scale, and one of the things that I mean by scaling is they'll take time to build their processes out, and they'll build their processes out in such a way that their people have less chances of, call it, fumbling the ball. They'll know the plays to run. They'll practice the plays to run, so they'll know how to engage customers. They'll know how to engage customer service. They will be empowered to make decisions. I'm reminded of a story years and years ago. My former wife had bought a dive watch for my oldest son, and it was one of those dive watches that was guaranteed, for 1,000 feet and all the craziness that you have in those watches, and never to leak and everything. Well, 2 weeks after the holidays, it had water in the crystal, and so she said, "Wow, this isn't supposed to got a guarantee to go to 1,000,000 feet deep and all this other stuff." So she took it back to the store, the local store, and it was a store at the time called Birdine's, which is no longer around. And I'm going to surmise that part of this is the problem. So she took the watch in, took it back to the counter, and said, "This watch, I just bought it. Here's my receipt. It's leaking." The lady took it, looked down at it, and kind of moved it around and looked at the face of it and put her glasses on the end of her nose and kind of was, kind of double checking it. And she picks the phone up and she goes, "Jewelry code 12, jewelry code 12." And all of a sudden, somebody comes from somewhere and comes over, and that's obviously a manager. And she goes, "This is our manager, our floor manager, and she'll look at this and determine if you get a refund." And she holds the watch and she kind of looks at it and looks at everything about it and looks down on her glasses. And finally, she hands the watch back to the other attendant and says, "Yes, go ahead and give her a refund." Now, my ex-wife went in to get a new watch. She had paid good money for this watch. She wanted a watch or a refund or whatever. And the ultimate goal was a watch for my son. This whole episode, she actually got what she went to get. They gave her a refund. Now, she didn't want another watch, and I have a sneaking hunch that maybe she might have taken another watch if she was treated differently, but bottom line, she got a refund. The lady rang the refund, so she got exactly what she went in to get. Now the question is, and this is the question you want to ask yourself in your business, did that customer leave a raving fan of the company and say, "Wow, that was a good experience. I'll come back," or "I want another watch"? The answer is she never went back. Now, the end of the story is their Birdine's is no longer around. Now, I'm not going to say that one watch had anything to do with it, but I'm going to bet that there was kind of a disease going on in there. The flip side is you take a company like Publix Supermarkets. It's a company down here in the southeastern United States that sells groceries, and they're very successful. And if you took a 10-year-old thing of milk back from another store and said, "Hey, I bought it here and it's spoiled," they would just say, "Go get another jug of milk." They wouldn't even look at the date and say, "Oh, well, this is 5 years old and it's from another store." They're just going to tell you to just get it, make you happy. Ironically, Publix continues to grow, and they're very successful. I mean, they're just one of the top examples I use. They cease to amaze me how well they understand the customer service gig and how engaged their teammates, their employees are. So they really get it. And so I would ask you, if you see your business and you're not constantly checking your instruments and making sure that you're on top of your business and you're not developing business vertigo, and that you're really making sure and taking ownership of your customer's experience before you look external, then I would caution you or I would say you're probably missing some great opportunities for even bigger successes. So until we get together again, I hope today helped. It's something that is near and dear to my heart. And if you're suffering from business vertigo, reach out to me at help@theadjunctceo.com, help@adjunctceo.com. Just tell me what's going on. I'll be happy to give you a phone call and give you a free consult and help you out and pick your brain and help you get where you need to get. That's what I'm here for, and that's what you're listening for. So again, it's help@adjunctceo.com, and we'll see you soon.
We hope you enjoyed today's today's show, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. If you have any questions or need some help, just email help@adjunctceo.com. Thanks for tuning in.